Radiance. So Kabam released this great blog post yesterday that goes into detail about what this currency is, how you're going to be able to earn it, and what is actually going to be in the store that you're going to be able to trade in Radiance for. So this store is going to launch in under a week now. It's going to launch on the 30th to coincide with the start of Season 29 of Battlegrounds. So the initial reaction from the community has been one of great excitement, because if you see here what kind of items are going to be in the store, it's basically what are the juiciest items in the game. All of them are here. T7 Basic, T4 Alpha, you have 7-star Awakening Gems, 7-star Sig Stones, some of the most premium relic upgrades, if that's what you're interested in. There's even a mastery point here, although I believe this mastery point won't be there when the store is initially launched. It's going to be there late in the year. I don't think they've said exactly when, but at some point late in the year, that's when they'll add it. But at least we do know how much it's going to cost, so you can potentially start preparing for that. So these are really exciting potential rewards. The question is, how much can we actually expect to get, right? And what are some of the factors here that we have to take into account? One is that you have to know, well, where do I expect to end in Battlegrounds, in the Gladiator circuit, in order to get X amount of Radiance. So we do have this table here that shows you for every season-ending rank what the corresponding amount of Radiance is. But you know, there are some factors that make it not so simple to say, well, you know, just because you finished Uru 1 before means that you'll be Uru 1 in the future. So for one, they've changed the structure of Battlegrounds tiers here. Uru 6 through Uru 4, these didn't exist before this current season, this upcoming season. Same with Gamma 4, same with Arcane 4. The sizes of these ranks has also changed in some cases. So for example, Celestial 6 here, you see there's 150 spots in Celestial 6 for this upcoming season, whereas previously there were only 100 spots. And some of these other ranks have also increased in size. That's fairly easy to deal with because that's just a straightforward mechanical translation you can make between what rank you were achieving before and what the new corresponding tier you'd fall into. The part that's a lot harder is that you would think, or at least Kabam would hope, that there's going to be a lot more interest now in Battlegrounds this upcoming season with these new, much juicier rewards. How much renewed interest and what kind of impact is that going to have on ranks, right? If you were reliably finishing around, let's say, rank number 500, how many people are out there that had the ability and time to finish in the top 500, but just weren't doing it, right? They weren't playing Battlegrounds at all because they didn't find it worth it or fun, or they were finishing lower than 500, but just because they weren't spending, you know, the amount of time and effort that it would take to finish higher. So that's impossible to kind of predict, right? That's just going to be a wild card. The other aspect that's going to make it, or at least just makes it a little bit hard to say what can I actually get for X amount of Radiance, is that the items in the store don't have a flat cost associated with them. It's actually an increasing cost depending on how many purchases you make of a given item. So just like in the Glory Store, although it's a little bit different in the way that it scales. So in the Glory Store, it's a linear increase that, you know, it's X amount more glory from the first to the second purchase, that same X from second to third, third to fourth, etc. Whereas the way that's prices increased in the Radiant Store, it's actually increasing on a curve that starts out fairly flat and then gets pretty steep by the end. So just taking this example of the T7 basic 10% fragments, you know, the first, second, third here, they're all around 13,000 Radiance, but by the time you get to your 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th purchase, you're spending 20, 25, 30K, right? So it just makes it a little bit different, a little bit difficult to actually say, even if you want to assume, okay, I'm going to have, let's say, 100,000 Radiance, what does that buy me? To do it in your head and try and figure out, well, based on this sliding scale, I'll be able to get 4 T7 basic fragment chunks, right? Or 7 or 8, whatever. So that's why I've created this spreadsheet that I will show you now. So I brought up the sheet that I've created that I'm going to share with all of you. The link will be in the description. The sheet does have some instructions at the top that hopefully make it easy. If you've ever used one of these planning sheets before, you know the first step is always you make a copy. You would go File, Make a Copy. I'm not going to do that right now. So once you've actually done that and you have a version that you can edit, there's really two steps. One is you're going to make some guesses at what your Radiance, what I'm calling income, will be. So you're going to make a guess at what tier you think you could fall into, and whether or not you'll accomplish the 3 objectives that also award some small amount of Radiance. There's one for if you make it to the Gladiator Circuit in the first week. There's another for making it to 100 rating by the end of the second week, and then finally one for making it to 200 rating by the end of the third week. And each one of those is going to give you 10,000 Radiance each. So by filling in those parameters, you would arrive at some number here, right? And so, as I mentioned before, it might be hard to actually say, well, do I think I'm going to finish Uru 6, Uru 5, whatever. So that's the benefit of having the sheet here, is that you can play with some different estimates and get a sense of a range of, okay, well, I think at worst I'd finish Uru 6, at best I'd finish Gamma 1, so it's going to fall between these 2 marks, right? So once you have that that estimated income in mind, that's going to be your budget, right? And then you can move on to this second table here, which is listing not all of the items in the Radiance store. Just for simplicity, I omitted some that I think just realistically aren't going to factor in for most people. For example, Incursions Crystal, Loyalty Crystal. Not saying that you absolutely shouldn't spend on those, but probably most people are not going to be using the Radiance on those items. I'm also not including things like the Mastery Point. That again, it doesn't exist yet. It's not going to exist there on launch. So this is really primarily intended to let you plan for what you're going to do right out of the gate. And so you would just fill in these quantities here with how many you think you'd like to get of these premium items, and this will calculate for you, well, what's the corresponding cost. I do also have this value column here. That doesn't really serve much purpose at present. It's more just there for curiosity. I was thinking that I was trying to compute, well, what's a rough equivalent unit amount that this item is worth? And therefore, whatever purchases you're going to make, well, what's the corresponding unit value of those purchases? So you can kind of get a sense of, well, it's not the be-all and end-all, but just it could be a factor that helps influence you on how to get the most bang for your Radiance buck. But all that being said, where is it here? The item values tab. So these estimates that I put in for the unit value for each one of these items, I'm not really happy with yet. I think I'd have to spend a lot more time thinking about what the values should be here. So you can either ignore it, or if you want, you can put in your own values here if you think you have a good handle on how you would value these items, and then that can help you here. So just as it's going to sum up the cost, it would also sum up the corresponding value for all the items that you decide to buy. So let's actually try this out. Let's say that I think one possibility is maybe I would finish, let's be optimistic. Let's say if I finish Mysterium 3, right? And if that's my goal in mind, then I'm probably also going to be able to accomplish each one of these objectives. So we'll just set all these to true. So I'm making the Gladiator Circuit first week. I'm going to make it 100 rating second week, 200 ratings third week. And what that means at the end is that I anticipate I'm going to get 180,000 Radiance at the end of the season for my efforts. So let's see. Now we can start playing with what we think we could buy with 180k. For me personally, the most valuable item is this T7 basic. So I'm going to try to pencil that in first and say, well, let me buy at least one of those. So that chews up right off the bat 125k of my 180k. This item, this some column here, or some cell here, that's going to be green as long as you're within this value. And it's going to go red if you actually exceed that, just as a helpful indicator. So I still have some left to play with, so I can't go to 2. That's too much, but I can maybe go to the fragments, and let's say, what if I go 5? That's a little bit too much. 4. So if I wanted to just go all in on T7 basic, I would be able to get roughly 1.4 T7B for that Mysterium 3 finish. If I didn't want to go all in on the fragments, let's say I do want that at least one full cat, I'm going to need some T4 alpha as well. How much can I get for my money? Let's say if I go 6, that goes me to 165k. If I can even get 7 if I want to, or maybe I want to balance this out and go 6 here and get some of these sig stones. So let's see if I... So right about, I could get, this is just one sample package I'm putting together, right? 1 full T7B, 6 T4 alpha, and 10, it's, you know, each purchase is 5 sig stones. So by buying 2, you get 10 total sig stones. So it's a pretty decent haul for 175k. Again, you can see why people are excited, because these rewards are a lot better than what we had been getting for Mysterium 3 finish in Battlegrounds. Even a C1 finish wouldn't get you anything close to this. So let's look at a different scenario. And actually, one of the interesting things about the way that they've structured Battlegrounds rewards, a lot of people have pointed this out. Let's see if I can see it here. Is that there's actually a very big drop-off from Mysterium 3 to Quantum 1. It's in percentage terms, it's much bigger than any of the drops in any of the other adjacent tiers. So, you know, if you finish rank 99, rank 1000, you're going to get 150,000. But if you finish rank 1001, you're dropping off 50k plus Radiance right off the bat, right? So let's see what that means in terms of purchase power. So let's go ahead and fill in Quantum 1. Where are you? Here's Quantum 1. And you can see that corresponding 93k figure. Let's still say optimistically that I'll be able to get all of these 3 objectives. So that's 123 and change, 123.75k Radiance. Now you can see, obviously, I'm over budget here. Can I still get 1 full if I just drop this to 0 and then drop this to maybe 4? No, I mean, obviously, I can see right off the bat that if it costs 125k and I'm only getting 123k, I can't get a full T7B. So that's no longer in the cards. Let's say I'll get 70% of a T7B. Let's go 4. I'm still a little bit over, but I can go 3. So that's one scenario, 70% of a T7B and 3 T4A. So if you remember what we just got for the Mysterium 3 finish, you can see that it's quite a big loss of purchasing power here. Still pretty juicy rewards, right? 70% of a T7B, definitely not bad. You're still getting some trophy tokens as well, right? And the traditional Battleground store is not going away. You'll get the T4 Alpha. You'll be able to get some T4 Alpha from that as well to supplement whatever you get from this new Radiance store. But yeah, it's still a big drop-off. Very plain to see. Just for entertainment value, let's see if you finish C5, what are you getting? And we'll assume that, yes, you would get, any C5 player could also comfortably get these 3 objectives. So when you go, let's zero this out and let's see if can you get 2 full T7B. The answer is yes, you can. Some people may very well choose to do that, and you still have 50k to play with. So you get another, what, let's say you get 6 T4 Alpha, and maybe you get a few of these sig stones as well. Go 3 now, 2. So 2 full T7B, 6 T4A, and 10 sig stones. And there's other things you could do here, right? If you wanted to say, no, not 1, let's go like 1.5 T7B and 8 T4A, and then let's see, can we actually max this out? Not quite. But you could get like 40 sig stones, 1.5 T7B, 8 T4A. That's a very juicy haul for those lucky 250 people. I shouldn't say lucky, those skilled 250 people who can finish Celestial 5. So, hopefully this helped you out. Please do leave comments if you feel like there's any way that I can improve the sheet, make it easier to use. Definitely, if you find any errors in here, please do let me know. I don't want to be giving out any wrong info here. But yeah, otherwise, if you like it, please do share the sheet, share the video with your friends, with your alliance mates. Give me a sub if you haven't already. I really would like to get to 200 subs sometime before mid-year. So yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Hope you found this useful. Take care. Have a good day.